Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to yet another review. Today I think we're going to take something a little bit different. Normally when we do a review, we kind of explain the basics of the game and kind of go over everything that you can really just get off of like the Wikipedia article if you really need. So I think we're just gonna drop all of that. I think it's just fluff. I don't think it really it's necessary. It's necessary. I don't think it really adds anything to the impression of the game. I think we need to really just focus on the pros and the cons. So that said, today we're going to discuss the pros and cons of Mario & Luigi Paper Jam. So let's start off with the pros. To begin with, the Mario & Luigi series always sports a very impressive battle system. The addition of Paper Mario isn't a tedious gimmick, but instead adds a whole new dimension to the battles. Not only do you have combo attacks with Mario and Luigi, there are now powerful trio attacks with the addition of Paper Mario. Nothing has gone downhill in terms of battling with the addition of Paper Mario. Another pro to the battle system is the incorporation of battle cards. These can be purchased, found, or created via amiibo and add specific effects. The effects range, and while they aren't necessary to complete the game, they add enough to make the hard parts ever so slightly easier. Another pro to this game is the fantastic amiibo support. As mentioned, you can use amiibos to create battle cards. Amiibo cards can only be used once per battle per amiibo, and usually are stronger than normal cards. I really love how they incorporated amiibo and think this game should be looked to as how amiibo should be used in the future. I also really like the story. While we don't get to see the series staple Fawful, I think the call to the old school Mario enemies was a good choice. The character roster is great, and the story, while not entirely deep, is humorous, witty, and really breaks the fourth wall. I'm actually a huge fan of how often they break the fourth wall and almost make fun of how tutorial heavy the previous iterations in the series have been. And I can't get over the final section of the game. Without spoiling too much, the lead up to the final boss is incredibly well done. Speaking of tutorials, this game only has optional ones. Usually a big complaint for the Mario & Luigi series, almost no tutorials are forced on you. They only give you a tutorial on mechanics that have never been present, which is a huge sigh of relief. Instead of showing you how to battle, how to do this, how to do that, they say, if you want to learn how to do this, here's a book, read it, we're not going to force it on you. And it's really great. Finally, I think the overall difficulty is very well done. With previous titles, I found sections either too easy or crushingly difficult. Paper Jam adds in a toggleable easy mode that doesn't exactly make anything too easy, but more so helps with timing your attacks. So it doesn't lower the level of enemies, it doesn't make them miss attacks or anything, it just helps you with your timing. What's even better is that there are sections of the game that are really tedious and break the flow of the game, but they added the ability to skip these sections if you want to. All that said, there are a fair few cons to this game. To start with, the giant papercraft battles are boring, long, and tedious. They are a new addition to the series, and unlike the giant Bowser battles in Bowser's Inside Story, the papercraft battles just make no sense to me. They are very slow, and with only 2 to 3 attacks that are basically point and click, they become incredibly boring. I always dreaded getting to these sections. They really just add nothing to the game. To continue on with the tedious section, there are necessary minigames where you have to find or save paper toads. Now, not every paper toad mission is awful, but they really break up the action of the game enough to be a con. I enjoyed the execution of a majority of these missions, but I feel as though they add barely anything necessary to the game. If they weren't mandatory, if they were just side quests to power yourself up, this wouldn't even be a con, and it might even be a pro, but the fact that you have to do them is kind of a problem for me, and I can see it being a big problem for a lot of other people. Like I said, it really breaks up the flow of the game. Continuing the theme of unwanted mandatory sections, I'd like to bring up certain sections that are similar to the Paper Toad missions. These are short, mini-game-esque sections that break the flow of the game. Now, they aren't as frequent as the Paper Toads, but they still add not much. My biggest gripe with these sections are the ones that are timed, but still feature standard battles. It becomes a frustrating experience when you slip up ever so slightly and you fail the mission. Like if you mistime one of your attacks and you don't do enough damage to take out the enemy in one hit, you lose a lot of time and progress. While I mentioned above that you can skip these sections in the Pro section, you usually have to fail them 3 times before you can do so. I think it really shows how bad these sections are when you have an option to skip them. It's almost as as if the developers knew that people wouldn't like these sections. And that sort of brings up a very weird point of, obviously it's just speculation, but there's no reason to put it in as a skip if you didn't think people would want to skip them. Overall, I like the game. For a Mario and Luigi series, I think it's a pretty good game. You know, it's definitely not one of the best in the series, so if you're new to the series, this is a great place to start. The lack of the tutorials is a really good thing, and I really like that, because if you look at other games in the series, they really drive home tutorials. Every single step of the way there's a tutorial. There's always something that they're teaching you. But in this game, they all put it in a little digital guide, and all you have to do is read it if you're having trouble. No biggie, no big deal, nothing. I love it. If you're within the Mario and Luigi series, if you've already played a bunch of games in the series, I think you'll like it. I do. As you see, I'm not saying I love it. It's not the best game in the series. I still think that Bowser's Inside Story is my favorite. It's good, but it's not great. If you guys understand that. So that's basically it. That was the pros and cons of Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. I really like the addition of the paper world. I never played the paper series, so I can't tell you if it's a good inclusion or not, or if it's honest to the originals, but I don't think that really matters in the context of this game. I enjoyed it. I think you guys will enjoy it too. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to catch you guys at the next episode. Peace.